Who are the coolest dudes on the planet?
United States veterans.
What's the coolest sport on the planet?
Pro wrestling.
And what would be the coolest podcast on the planet? That would be this one.
U.S. military vets talking pro wrestling.
This is the No Shave Man Cave. Two badass disabled vets sharing their love of pro wrestling, giving you their perspective as fans, talking about current events and matches, history of titles, and who knows what else. Let's do it.
Welcome to the No Shave Men Cave. Now your hosts, Ellie Jair and Jay Tilley.
You have joined us at the perfect time, the perfect place for the perfect subject during our month, your month, the month of March, our Women's Appreciation Month. We are upon us, Women's Appreciation Day. And I am so freaking stinking jacked to have you here in the No Shave Man Cave. I'm Ellie Jair.
Hey, I'm Jay Tilley.
Yes, ma'am. We are here to appreciate your givings, your provisions, your achievements in professional wrestling. And man, I have been loving professional wrestling since 1981. And dude, talk to me. What is, dude?
I was 3 years old,
Man.
in 81. Just saying.
Whoa. I think I just turned 7. I was in Kentucky. I watched Jerry the King Lawler throw a freaking fireball at it was either Bill Dundee or Austin Idol, and it has just been heaven ever since. And like some of the deliveries from women wrestling, women in wrestling, whether it was as a wrestler, as a even to a certain extent in the Polynesian and Hawaiian wrestling chain, the women bringing the heat in professional wrestling. The pageantry, the presentation, the exclusivity, because there were so few of them, man, I love it, man. And I love professional wrestling, but to see what the women are doing now and how they got here, I'm so pumped that we decided to do the show.
Yep.
And this is going to be a series throughout the month. And every month we're going to be doing a dedication to the theme of the month. But yeah, man, it's Women's Appreciation Day, and as Miro's singer used to do, he would sing, Rusev Day. Today is Women's Day, and I'm pumped to be talking about professional freaking stinking wrestling, women's style.
Yeah, I with it being Women History Month and everything, I absolutely wanted to make sure we touched on it. And like you said, you're kind of the historian in the group. I was WWE, so I kind of know about WWE. I'll be able to talk about Miss Elizabeth and Luna Vachon and Miss Sherry. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
But I'd like to ask you, because of the territory stuff and everything, and like just touched on the Polynesian.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to open this one up to you on our first one, kind of talk about maybe the women that I don't know were as important or influential into the realm of pro wrestling that we have today. I will completely come out and say, and I've said it in our podcast before, I think we still have a long way to go for the equality in wrestling for women. I think the recent pay-per-view showed that it's there. The matches they put on are there. You have organizations like Stardom out there, which is an all women based organization. And hey, guess what? They can book women. It's doable. And I think as we get better and get there, I think it'll be great. But for this first one, I kind of wanted to just get your take or your who you think was the most influential, maybe a couple women, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes, chat about it. Maybe you can learn me something on this one and give me some things to go look up and read about and look into so that I can be better versed in the history of women in professional wrestling back in the 1900s when you started watching it.
Yeah. 1900s. This son of a beast. Dude, I can remember coming over on the Mayflower and we were talking about no, but like if you look at professional wrestling where it is today and the names that like have a a hold on professional wrestling and the names that are synonymous with professional wrestling, you have the Monets that wouldn't be here without the Mae Youngs, without the Fabulous Moolahs, without the Butchers and the Stevensons, and even to the point where the WWE has one of the greatest collections of female wrestlers period, the Mae Young Classic. Without the Mae Young Classic, just think about we wouldn't have one of the most fantastic physical phenoms in professional wrestling, Rhea Ripley. A high flyer that if she could stay healthy, she'd be carrying one of the many world titles in Tegan Knox because she can go. The Maestro with over there in she's with Impact right now, and just I mean, just like the history of women's wrestling has been so exclusive. So you had in the in the pre 90s, so like 79 to 89, you had the Fabulous Moolahs sort of controlling all of professional wrestling, and then you had Wendy Richter all of a sudden explode on the scene. She would go on to win the title in 84, July of 84, and kind of get screwed over, and the story would sort of change forms or whatever. But as professional wrestling was changing and the territories were absolving, you had some really, really cool stories. And now you look at how athletic the women are and their main eventing, which
Mm-hmm.
I think night one of WrestleMania will be Charlotte Flair against Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley cut her teeth in the Mae Young Classic. And for those who don't know Charlotte Flair, she is a 14-time champion. She is the daughter of the 16-time champion Ric Flair. And I mean, it's just freaking awesome. You had Sherry Martel, one of the most vicious women, really one of the most vicious wrestlers in professional wrestling, cut her teeth throughout the AWA territory up until 80. So I was getting ready to move to Arizona, 86, 87. So, she made her way to WWE, WWF at the time. You had Rockin' Robin. So you had
I remember her.
You had the Rockin' Wrestling. You had Wendy Richter partnering up with Cyndi Lauper, and that was the push along with Hulkamania, brother.
Yep.
Which I can't believe you still don't have your title up. You've
I know. I need to put it
all
up.
of 1 hour. For those who are watching our exclusive 19.99 a minute podcast stream, Jay Tilley got a awesome title signed by the Hulkster. Just freaking awesome. And it's the Winged Eagle, which is the final version, which I think everybody wants to see resurrected, not just because Hulk Hogan carried it, but it's pageantry and the history associated with it. But I mean, you had Blaze carry the women's title.
Mm-hmm.
She would move on to WCW and under the name or moniker of Medusa, and she was sort of the cutting edge of women's wrestling that you would see what we would see today. Lita was she cut her teeth with lucha and just freaking phenomenal, all the way down to who and what we're seeing with Asuka and Belair, and I'm trying to think of some of the other ones because I'm like my mind is just racing right now. Jazz,
Oh, yep.
bringing it, and then you'd sort of move into the WWE,
You got
sort of
Bailey.
the weird period of WWE where you'd see the Sables and the Jacquelines,
Yep.
and the what was the other one? Victoria. You'd see her, and that wasn't necessarily what we wanted to see with professional wrestling. And then who shows up? You get the Litas, you get the Trishas, you get the Ivories, you get the freaking Chinas,
Yep. Saraya
and
or Paige at the time.
Paige.
Paige was another
Absolutely.
one that kind of helped that revolution. That's what I remember. So I remember
Yeah.
the not so good time for the women
Mhm.
in WWE when it was the Tori Wilsons. Not that they weren't great, but what they were put into was awful. So the Tori Wilsons, the Stacy Keibler, Mickey James at some point in that storyline where they were.
Oh man, Mickey James, and look at her now, man.
Oh, I know.
Dude.
But they were putting those just
Yep.
awful bikini matches and just absolutely objectified as we don't care if you can wrestle, and to the point where they were just doing model searches to bring these women in.
Yeah.
To where it is now. And I remember watching as that slowly turned when the Lita showed up. And even with Lita, though, they did some horrific stuff with her. But she stuck with it and was one of those wrestlers that I remember going, man, she can wrestle. Like, these women can wrestle. And then I remember Paige, and I remember Paige
Yep.
refusing to dye her hair blonde. And no, I'm not going to be
Mhm.
that. I'm as she tells the story, Dusty Rhodes told her to be herself and not to fold to the what Vince wanted everyone to look at: blonde hair,
Yeah.
blue eyes.
So if you look at Dusty Rhodes and his influence on professional wrestling,
Oh, we could do a whole podcast on that alone.
dude, you could put that on par with some of the influencers of professional wrestling right now. Some of the producers, some of the contributors, some of the big name contributors, and by no means am I putting Omega on the same level as Dusty Rhodes, but his thought process when he's producing a match is these are wrestlers, and we're putting athletic contributors to a program in a time slot. You have 8 minutes to deliver. I need your entrance, I need your build up, I need your high spots, I need your finish, and you have 8 minutes. And if you look at even ECW, where you had Jazz
Mm-hmm.
just bringing it, and she was wrestling with the men. She wasn't
Yep.
wrestling with women. You had McGillicuddy, Tommy Dreamer's wife, was she was taking pile drivers.
Yeah, she used to take some stiff bumps. Yep.
Like busted freaking wide open. The Molly Hollies, the Trish Stratuses, probably one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet, Gail Kim.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
She's amazing.
And she's a producer over with Impact Wrestling. Her husband is the
Michael Irvin. Robert Irvin, yep.
Robert, yeah. And I mean, just man, she was so smooth. Her feud with Awesome Kong in Impact,
yes,
one of the best storytelling. And I would be interested to see who the producer was. I'd be willing to bet if it wasn't Dean Malenko, it was someone closely affiliated with Dean Malenko, because that feud was awesome. And dare I say, not one drop of blood was spilled. And it was their gear always looked super tight. Awesome Kong, she had some great, and the leather that she wore was so thick it looked like a suit of armor. Just so awesome. Trish Stratus, as she grew as a performer from I think she was Miss Olympia,
Yeah, she was a fitness model, wasn't she?
and her, I think it might have been Tori. Anyway, so Trish came up. Next thing you know, she's with Team 3D, and Bully would tell the story much better, but he's like, she was like, "Hey, don't half-ass it with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the ring with you. We're performing," and he drove her. He tried to drive her through the mat, and she went through the table, took the table, everything was good. A couple weeks later, they made up, and she's like, "All right, here's what's going to happen." Blah 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 blah. He's like, "Whoa, you're not the producer of the match." She's like, "No, we're telling a story, and I'm going to be involved in the story." And that's what I love about wrestling now. If you look at New Japan, they have an amazing women's champion. Shout out to Monet.
And this was it was a big thing for them too, because they didn't
Dude.
have a women's champion up until this year.
Yeah, and
So
that's
big step in the right direction.
huge. Beautiful title, very reminiscent of the current men's New Japan title. Just gorgeous. I'd be interested. Actually, I will find out who made that title. It wasn't made here in America, and but yeah, beautiful, beautiful match. Great production. It Monet won it in San Jose, California. Great crowd, great match. And you look now, you're going to have a women's match main event, WrestleMania. It happened a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You see the athleticism, the beauty, the production of the Becky Belairs and the Beckys and the Belairs, and some of the tag. Now we have women's tag team champions. I'm super interested in. If you look over my shoulder, all of the titles that I own are either United States titles or the North American titles. And if there is a women's United States title or a North American title, I will buy it tomorrow. The minute I find out, because I am, and it's just, I think it's so cool. Victoria was super influential,
Yes.
and was even involved in production of many of the matches when you had the cruiserweight and the light heavyweight titles. She participated in the production meetings with them because she just had a mind for wrestling. Jazz, I just allegedly Jazz is going to be brought into the Hall of Fame.
Victoria needs to be in there too.
Yeah. Victoria, we met her not that long ago. She was super, super awesome.
Yep. Yeah, she was
Melina,
last year at the WrestleCon, and yeah, she was super cool. Took time to spend time talking to my daughter, and yeah, Melina. I just saw something recently about her talking about a comeback or Hall of Fame or something coming up with her.
Yeah, she's Melina's not too, I don't want to say keen. I don't want to quote her incorrectly, but she's not too thrilled on how wrestling has evolved. Not necessarily women's wrestling, or how it's produced and how it's presented. So she's not sure how much longer she wants to commit. You have the Mickey Jameses of the world, and that whole hardcore country story that she's got going on with Impact. She's the current Impact champion. And think about, like, she was the first champion from another company to present their championship in a WWE event, and super cool for her. A couple years ago, she was at the Royal Rumble. She presented as the Impact champion. Kudos to her. Beth Phoenix, ironically out of Buffalo, New York. That's where I was born. And the Glamazon, and just recently was on the pay-per-view not that long ago. And just like, you look at where they were from, how Fabulous Moolah sort of had the stranglehold on them, all of women's wrestling, and you had like one or two women in a territory, and you just sort of like show up and you like find a woman and go, hey, I need you to hop in the ring. And now you look at rosters with double digit women that any given night they could defeat the champion because they're delivering, because of their physical prowess and just beauty and smarts and just, oh man, the pageantry, the gear. Like Charlotte, when she comes out, the first couple ring robes that she came out to the ring with were derived from Ric Flair's robes, and they were recreated. And a couple weeks ago, when she came out and the gear that she was wearing, bro, so breathtaking. And I'm super impressed with the from Mickie James and her women's power presentation when she had her pay-per-view, the women's revolution that was initiated through Stephanie McMahon and the WWE, the work and beauty and strength that was presented through the NWA with Camille. Thunder Rosa was an NWA world champion. Serena
She has her
Deeb,
own, and Thunder's got her own Mission Pro Wrestling down there,
Mission
which is
Pro Wrestling in
female
Southwest
focused.
Texas. Yep. Produced. I think there's like one or two men involved, and they're referees.
Yep.
And just super kudos to everything that they're doing over there in Mission Pro Wrestling. So
even outside the wrestlers, though, you look at like Aubrey Edwards and I can't think of Carr. I can't remember her first name, but the referees now. So this last year, well, probably a few years ago, Aubrey Edwards has been with AEW for a while, but
3-4 years, I think.
Yeah, it took that long though till we had full time, not just gimmicky female referees, and I think that's a big deal too. Especially, I want to say Aubrey was the first, because if I remember correctly, WWE didn't have a women's referee until after AEW launched. I'll have to double check those facts, but I think Aubrey was one of the first full-time women referees. I believe she was the first woman or first female referee to referee a main event. So not even just the wrestlers part of it, like the fact that the women are in there and refereeing and stuff now too is awesome. And like I said, not as like a gimmick, like a female wrestler who's going to be referee tonight. Like Aubrey Edwards is a full-time referee. That's all she's done. And that's big. That's a huge deal. Would love to get her on and talk to her. So
yeah, I would love to, any woman involved in any element of wrestling. If you're interested in telling your story, your time is my time, and I would love to hand you the mic and just lay out, because like you said, Jessica Carr was WWE's first full-time woman's referee. That's super exciting.
Yep.
Watching in person, us being here in close proximity to Daly's place, watching Aubrey Edwards cut her teeth and grow and become the professional referee that she is today. And if you think about what the referees are doing in the ring, and sort of if you look at the definition, and I think you had sort of alluded to it during one of the pay-per-views that we were sitting there watching. They are there to protect the wrestlers.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to protect them from themselves. Sometimes you have to protect them from the elements. And then sometimes you have to protect them from production. And just to see some of the beauty that is occurring, even when Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, Monet, were in the ring, just like the beauty of their match, and they're both so athletic and so physical, and to watch that whole thing go down was just, man, so awesome. I'm so just
Yeah.
I'm in awe. I wish I could do, what the any wrestler could do, but let alone, some of the moves that Bianca Belair and Monet and, Becky Lynch flying off the top rope, hitting the flying leg drop, like, woof, I would be in ICU immediately.
Yep. You brought up the the referees being in there to protect and everything, and it made me think of the Audrey Edwards, which is I think where I got that from. Is she's all over the place right now in the media, Twitter, everything's beating her up because she's over dramatic, they say, or she gets too involved. And I listened to her interview with Renee Paquette, and very eye opening because, as she said, same thing, right? Their jobs are to count to three and to enhance the talent and then to protect the talent. And that when they're in the ring, they're focusing on safety. Like we saw the horrible thing with Hangman Page where he got knocked out. The referee was perfect on jumping in there and stopping it. But like she said, is she's getting all this criticism, whether it's justified or not, whether it's because she's a female so they focus on it or not. I don't know. I'm not going to put my mind in other people's minds.
Yeah.
But as she said, if Chris Jericho comes to her or Moxley or Kenny Omega and says, hey, at XYZ point, I'm going to do this. I want you to push me, or I want you to get in my face. Like the pay-per-view where she went back and forth with MJF. Was it MJF? I don't remember. Where she did the pushing. No, it wasn't MJF because that was Bryce Remsfield. Anyway, whoever she got into a shoving match. It might have been with Jericho.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay,
Yeah, it might have been with Jericho. I almost felt like that was a purposefully done, I don't care what Twitter says, I'm going to do what they ask.
Yeah, I think it was Jericho.
But like she said, like if the talent comes to me and says, hey, we want to do this to enhance our match, she's going to do it. And she's going to be part of that match.
Yeah.
So I maybe it was Sanjay Dutt in the 4-way tag. I don't remember what it was, but I just like her telling that and the fact that I think people focused in on it so much and she's gotten so much criticism as a referee. And I don't think it's warranted. I mean, yes, sometimes I think she does get a little jumpy, but she's having fun. And like, who cares? Why are you focusing that much on her anyway?
Right.
I just, I don't think some of that criticism towards her is worth it. Cause I remember watching Earl Hebner and dude would always be in the center, but nobody said anything about him.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, when we started this podcast, I believe there's still a long way to go for the equality. But I think there's been, like you listed, so many women that have been influential in wrestling. Our next one in this series, we'll probably pick one or two, maybe deep dive into what they contributed. Because we could go on a tangent about Mae Young. We can go on a tangent about China. We did a little bit about Lita. We could go on. And we spent some time on Aubrey Edwards right here. So I think I like the idea. Maybe one, for this month, we'll drop maybe 3 more episodes based on women, and you and I can brainstorm outside of on the podcast, talking about like, hey man, like I think these two were probably really influential. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about how Mae Young was the gatekeeper, or we can even tell some of the horrible things we've heard about the way they were treated.
Oh man.
And not really getting a locker room and all the stuff that they had to go through. So, I think it'd be kind of neat to do it, like you said, a whole series this month for Women's History Month, talking about not just everyone that's in there, but like narrowing down to some of those big influential ones. I can't think of it. The Rock's grandma who ran the Polynesian when she took over that territory and
Oh
everything she did.
man! And at the time when she took over that region, you got to compare that to a cartel,
Yeah.
and the way it was held and the reverence that it was held in was just shy of a like an organized crime organization. And if you haven't, had the opportunity to watch Tales of the Territory produced by Vice TV and Seven Bucks Production, owned by The Rock and Vicky, his ex-wife, take a hot second, and it's absolutely worth a watch. So, what we're going to be looking to do is over the month is we'll give a shout out to all the champions of women's wrestling currently, and we'll highlight some of the other champions. And I'm going to deep dive any non-world champions. So if we have any U.S. champions, national or North American or TV champions, and that will include our TBS champion, Jade Carhill. Shoo! We'll bring some awesome reverence to them and what they were doing prior to their championship. And then I'm going to do a one-word challenge. So we'll do an example. I'm going to say a wrestler, and you're going to be delivering one word.
Okay.
Stand by. Stand by. Targets. Lacey Evans.
Controversial.
I would say U.S. Marine. Hey, yud!
That's not one word, though.
Too.
U.S. Marines, a few words.
Well, that's why I'm a Marine and I eat crayons. My bad. We'll try this again. Molly Holly.
Hardcore.
Oh, dude, I was thinking the same thing.
Yep.
God, her Hurricanrana was freaking tastic.
Yep.
Last one, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Bailey.
That's a tough one, actually.
I want to say Hug, but because I knew her as she was coming up, and I was stationed in San Jose, and watching her come up through the whole NXT, her
Right.
being in the Valley, she was always the huggable one, and she had the little used car salesman Huyas, and to see her now, I'm so proud of her, and to be so convicted in a character that AEW gives the wrestlers the opportunity. Hey, here's the storyline we're going to give you. You're going to be a used car salesman, and you're going to have to walk around and kick tires. I'm not doing that. All right, cool. We'll get back to you when we have something else. So they got to lay out for a couple of months, and they're on the low end of their contract. They
Right.
don't release them or put them in some sham of a program that they can't sell. So super awesome. So yeah, over the rest of the month, we'll be doing talking about our current champions. We'll be doing
No.
word
You don't get away with it.
associations,
I'm going to do it now.
Man,
No. So I did think of one for Bailey. Inconsistent. So, yep, inconsistent. Because her, and I don't think it's her fault. I think it's some of the writing they give her.
No, I agree. Yeah.
All right, my turn. We're going. You're not going to blindside me and not let me get right back to you.
I like
All right,
it.
so I'm going to go Chelsea Green.
Chelsea freaking stinking Green. So I don't want to call her Mrs. Cardona.
One word.
What I will say is the Queen.
Okay.
So I could see her winning the Queen of the Ring and bringing and chaperoning in one of my favorite wrestlers, which sort of loosely leads to me wearing my beard the way I do, next to the Mr. Neidhart, rest in peace, sir. Yeah, I think Chelsea Green will shepherd in the age, the empire, the era of Matt Cardona, the death of Zack Ryder.
Okay.
And yeah, So Chelsea Green, the queen.
Okay. Luna Visage.
Man.
Oh, I didn't give you mine for Chelsea Green. Sorry. I didn't give you mine.
What do you get? What do you got for Chelsea?
Raw. So I think she's still Raw. So I think she's got some work to
Nice.
do. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, she was so nicked up for so long.
Yep.
She's busted a couple of bones every time she started to get a little bit of a push and some momentum.
Yep.
Um,
And I think, and I don't mean Raw because she's on Raw. I just think
no. Yeah, like
she's got some Raw talent, but she's a little raw and needs to get worked up. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And Vashon, I would say, just like legacy. I mean, just
that's what I was thinking.
The lineage that she, and like if we were to back up a little bit during Elimination Chamber, I mean,
yep.
Mad Dog Vashon and that whole situation. She was from that era, and just phenomenal. Just a champion, just lineage. Just
that's where
awesome.
I was going legacy. Yep, lineage and legacy. About the same thing. Yeah. All right, last one. Let's see. Who can I hit you with on this last one? Let's go away from WWE and let's go into the AEW realm. And let's go with
drum roll.
I'm not going to give you Jade because that's too easy.
Dream
let's
match.
Let's go with. No, I was going to say Abaddon, but I don't think you know her enough. Who can I give you? Let's go Thunder Rosa. One word.
Thunder Rosa. Historical.
Okay.
So she comes from a luchador background. She started wrestling when she was a little bit older. Wasn't necessarily interested in becoming a professional wrestler, and she's in her mid 30s, and she's only a couple years in the game. Little nicked up right now, dealing with some back issues and stuff, and just the community work that she does, and so I think now that I just said that out loud, I think you used it a little bit earlier. I would say controversial is another one. If I could hyphenate one, maybe mixed bag. Not everybody's sold on her,
right?
But yeah, I mean, she's bringing a different style to professional wrestling, and she's got some mixed martial arts background into it, which wasn't received very well, and she's kind of on the outside looking in. She's part of a commentating team. She's a member of the Busted Open family, contributes on Fridays. So hopefully she gets healthy and can continue to contribute to professional wrestling going forward.
I was going with Pioneer because of what she's done with Mission Pro Mission Pro Wrestling.
Hell yeah.
And bringing the different style of women's wrestling to Mission Pro. And I don't know if you've ever watched some of their stuff, but it's pretty decent. I think the feud with Dave LaGreca to bring eyes to her product was pioneering. So that was the one I was going to go with for her.
Yeah. Breaking and entering. I don't know if we get that. When she threw the sock in Dave LaGreca's mouth, he probably still deserves it, but whatever. No, but I like her gear too. Like it when she won so she was part of the match of the year with her and Britt Baker.
Oof, man, that was a good one.
Which was a banger. Which I think it was a finals for the feud of the year with Britt Baker as well.
Yep.
But her gear, like along with Jade Cargill, every time they come to the ring, their gear means something, and it contributes to the storyline and everything. And when she won the world title, the steps that she went through to make sure that all of her gear was telling the story of Mexican wrestling I thought was awesome, and she told a little bit of the story on Busted Open one day, and it was really cool to listen to. And I have a lot to learn about lucha wrestling, and I even went to Mexico and like toured around some of the areas of some of the wrestling arenas and theaters that they would hold wrestling in. I was just like, this is so awesome. And they would look at me and go, lucha. And if you didn't know what to say, they'd shut the door. So they'd be like,
okay.
lucha. And I'd go, lucha is life. And they'd let me in. And it was just like, man, it was just so much fun. Like, yeah, it was, I almost broke my ankle, but it was definitely worth it.
Very
much
nice.
fun, man. Yeah. So
Cool.
So there it is. Some of the most amazing athletes in professional wrestling are female wrestlers, whether we love it or love it, which I am a huge fan of professional wrestling. And however it's being produced, delivered, whatever, we've got the Lucha Undergrounds, we've got the WWEs, that currently the AEWs, the NWAs, everything in between. And we've only scratched the surface, and hopefully we'll be able to do it justice throughout the entire month of March. And these were great questions, man. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, man. Like I said, Women's History Month, I want to keep it going. We'll do one a week. We'll try to narrow it down a little more focused, but definitely wanted to get this one on the books for the I guess technically we missed the first week, so the second week of Women's History Month.
Heck yeah.
But you guys know the drill. Hit us up on our social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, @NoShaveManCave. Like, subscribe, follow us, give us some feedback on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to us. Drop us those 5-star reviews. Helps us grow, helps us improve. Jared and I are in this for the long haul. We're enjoying it. We're loving it. We're having a great time. Appreciate the fact that we are kind of growing way more than I thought we would as quick as we are. So appreciate everything, guys. Please, we love the interaction. Would love more of you to hit us up on Twitter. Message us. We have our messenger open. If you follow us, you can message us. No problem. We'll respond. Yeah. So follow us, like us, subscribe, comment, stars, all that good stuff. I'm going to give you to Jared for his famous closers.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Kudos to the women's in our life. And I wouldn't be where I am without my mom. God bless you. I know you're looking down. Old Nancy Jack Ellis. To my sister who just celebrated a birthday, old Shani Bell, there in Arizona. To Jay Tilley's Mrs. Jay Tilley. Thanks for holding it down, holding the fort while Jay Tilley's doing God's work. Thank you for your service. To Lacey Evans and all of the women in wrestling that have served. And I wouldn't be half of the dude that I am without Mrs. Ellie Jair. Thank you for everything that you're doing. With that, I will send you off. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I'll see you on the floor.
You've been listening to the No Shave Man Cave.
If it's pro wrestling, we're talking about it. Unless we see something shiny and wander off into the woods. If you hang around long enough, we'll eventually come back. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Fire off your comments and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at No Shave Men Cave. Y'all be cool, and we'll see you next time on the No Shave Men Cave.